Good afternoon, everyone. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Firstly, I would like to congratulate my beloved UAE on the 50th National Day. And I would also like to thank the Ministry of Culture and Youth and the World Conference on Creative Economy for inviting us to speak today. My name is Mahab bin Hindi. I am the managing partner of Mahab bin Hindi Law Firm. On my left, I'd like to introduce the panelists. We have Zainab al-Hashimi, who's the prominent Emirati conceptual artist. Her work is currently showcased in Expo 2020 at the Sustainability Pavilion. Please, if you have time, pass by and look at her fabulous work. She had her work also displayed at the Louvre, Abu Dhabi, and she had collaborations with international major brands like Hermes, Tiffany & Company, and Swarovski. To her left, we have Moza Zaabi, who is a prominent Emirati photographer. Moza was involved in many major exhibitions in Manarat al-Saadiyat and the Sharjah Digital International Art exhibitions. On to her left, we have Mohammed Abdel Mun'im, who is the senior associate of Mahab bin Hindi Law Firm. He is in the litigation department. Just a brief intro. So, Mahab bin Hindi Law Firm is established in 2018. It's the first commercial boutique law firm that provides legal services in Dubai Design District. It's the first law firm, and it's the only law firm that operates in D3. I'm proud to announce that we were ranked number one in Dubai courts for. We're ranked number one in Dubai courts amongst other 100 top law firms across the Emirates for finishing commercial cases on time. I'm speaking about litigation cases. The reason being, we actually settle cases within both parties, and this would be within a year or less, which is why we were ranked number one with Dubai courts. And this is public information that could be found on Dubai courts itself. The firm, I'd like to just give a brief background about the firm as well. The firm is associated with firms in the United Kingdom and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We have a diversified team in the litigation and the corporate commercial department. And basically, we have the right of audience to all the federal courts and the local courts across the UAE. And we are registered with the DIFC courts. Can we go next, Zainab? Next. Yeah. Now, many of you might be thinking, what's the connection between the legal sector and the creative industry? And I must tell you that the connection is very important and it's very strong. Going back, I remember when I was doing my Master's of Law at Fordham Law School in Manhattan, New York, I opted to do a module called Art Law, and the professor who taught us was very enthusiastic, and she had her own law firm that was specialized in art and intellectual property, and she used to tell us her experience and matters which was very interesting. Myself, I'm an art enthusiast, and my father's an art collector. And by the way, most of my friends, they are from the art sector or the creative industry. I remember when I first started work when I came back to the United Arab Emirates, and I started working in a law firm. I remember one of my friends, she was an artist. She called me and she's like, "I have an issue." I was like, "What's your issue?" She's like, "I did this work at an ex-company, and they had amazing media attention, and they were successful. I was successful. We were both happy, but suddenly they were refusing to pay my fee." I was like, "Really? Okay." I was like, "Send me all your email correspondence. Let me look what I could do for you." When I read through, I was like, "Listen, I'm going to send them a legal notice, and just let me deal with it." So when I sent the owner of the company a legal notice, I realized the next day my friend got a phone call and she was like, please come and collect your check, which was kind of funny because why do we have to go through that process when it could be done in a quick and simple way? I'd like to, I'm very excited and I'm very proud of my country. As you may heard or you may know, the UAE president has approved the largest legislative reform in the country's history. So this year we've seen a lot of new laws introduced, approximately 40 new laws being introduced this year. One of which, this includes Federal Decree Law number 38 of 2021. This is on copyrights law. Basically, the current law that we have in place is law number 7 of 2002 on copyrights. This will be replaced by the new federal decree law. We have the UAE issued a new federal law on industrial property, which includes patents, industrial designs, and trade secrets. The objective of this law is to protect and regulate patents and to support innovation in the country. Now, the new amendment on the copyright is very interesting. Basically, the amendments are aimed at maximizing the creative industry's contribution to the UAE economy, and it also offers special benefits for disabled people to improve their participation in the creative industry. And it also aims at providing authors of the works and the holders of the neighboring rights with more rights where their rights were violated. We also have the new trademark law. So the current law, the federal law number 37 of 1992, will be replaced with the federal decree law number 36 of 2021, which deals with trademarks law. Now, this law introduced very interesting definitions and clauses to it. For example, the definition of trademark has been expanded to include 3D trademarks, holograms, sound and smell, which is very interesting. It also introduced hefty penalties for trademark and infringement. Hefty penalties for trademark infringement and certain marks that cannot be registered. Now, the trademark law and the copyright law will be enforced at the beginning of the new year, January 2022. And I believe now going on to the connection between the legal sector and the creative industry, I think it's very important and it's very strong. And I always advise the creative industry, if you are facing any difficulties in contracts, or let's say you have non-disclosure agreements that you want to share with X company, gallery, government entity, please just go to any law firm, take their advice. There are certain legal jargons that you would not probably understand or you're not familiar with, but there are certain things that you have to look at, which is very important, and it plays a huge impact in the project that you're involved in and also in future projects. So, for example, there's certain clauses like jurisdiction issues, governing law issues, ownership issues, licensing, transfer of rights. These are clauses that you have to put in mind and always seek the advice of a lawyer or a consultant just to guide you. We're short in time. Thank you for listening. I'd like to shed the light on the creative individuals. Zainab, please go ahead. Thank you,
Maha. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And I think, for me, this is a very important session that, unlike every time where I speak about my creative journey, I would like to express, expanding your creative journey and like how, starting 10 years ago and coming here and being part of the creative industry and the creative scene has wouldn't happen just for my own efforts, I would say, but the efforts of the whole ecosystem in the country. I'm a conceptual artist. I am specialized in site-specific art installations. The meaning of site-specific is that I really enjoy understanding the kind of crowd or public that will come and see my work, whether it's in a gallery or a public artwork, and I respond to the space, or I respond to the area or the location, or even sometimes to the city where I see what is necessarily seen as normal, and then I refer to those words and I relate to them in so many ways, but I like to deconstruct and reconstruct things. And I think the whole idea of reconstructing or construction really goes, for me, it's a very intimate, because this is where my city, this is what I feel when it comes to how evolved are we in this country. We're always trying to build things in a way. So I think a lot of my work is, goes around the idea of industrial material and also nature. And I also sometimes refer to it as man-made and handmade. So there is this kind of dichotomy, or the contrast between juxtapositioning two materials or two things coming together. For me, it's sort of life on its own. I think going through different parts of my creative journey, I realized that in the beginning, and I was talking to Maha about the story, making an agreement with any art entity starts with it was just a handshake. It was a matter of trust, understanding, and also being really very young and enthusiastic and with a lot of passion to just get the work done. How it will be done, who is going to get it done, what are the agreements were not very important in my perspective. And I remember, like, there were so many cases where my family were a little bit concerned on where is this going, and how is me being an artist could somehow become some sort of a business, or is it even a job? This question will always arise, I think, as long as we are able to shift, I would say, our passion and create something that is more sustainable. So I think I definitely, as I started exploring more with my work, I started getting more offers, but also I started getting extra paperwork, a lot of logistics that I had no idea how to respond to. Most cases, I would say, I would just, consult some friends, and then being in an art community, art law was not something very common. You would not really necessarily understand or even know how you can have your own rights, what you need to amend, if you have the right to amend anything. It can go from your own, from your fees to the artist transfer of title, to the ownership, to reproduction. I think a lot of those terms were completely not in the perspective. They don't, I think in, understanding how art education is in art schools and coming from an art school, no one teaches you these things in universities. I hope this would actually change in the education, just because I think if we're talking about the industry, the creative industry, we need to be able to allow creatives from a younger age to be independent, to understand their own rights. So I think really understanding the different, I would say, collaborative works, or even perhaps working even with a gallery, wouldn't have made me empowered unless I would have someone to consult. And I think really I like to tell this story, but I remember during the pandemic, in the beginning of the pandemic, I was a little bit, under the impression that, okay, things are very unpredictable. I'm not sure what's going to happen to my projects. I don't know whether things are going to be on hold, continue. I've had delayed payments as well. And I remember, we used to do those Zoom became very popular, of course. whether it's for meetings or just catching up with friends. And I remember we started talking on Zoom just to catch up.
We had maybe 2-hour conversations during the pandemic.
Yeah, from I think the conversation of how are you doing, what are you up to, or how's the pandemic, it started like me trying to understand from Maha. I was like, listen, I have this situation, okay, I have another situation. And then Maha suggested, she's like, how about we come and actually take this to the next level? Take it a little bit seriously. If you've got concerns, I'm sure a lot of people from whether they're from my generation or from younger generation, there are artists, designers, performance artists. There are entrepreneurs in the creative area that I would say the whole ecosystem of the creative scene is there. Now, to kind of give that shift of being a small business into a medium-sized business or even a large business, I think there are a lot of legal matters or even federal laws that are not being applied yet. Things need to change. As simple as, for example, I remember going to the Department of Economy and asking for an artist license, and that was not something very common. And honestly, they were so helpful, and they said, you know, you've got a whole list, pick one of those licenses, pick one of those creative licenses. And I remember there was like a graphic designer, interior design, all kinds of like architectural design, and I could not fit what I do into one of those licenses. And they said, how about you suggest that? You can actually suggest that, and we can put it on that list. So even licensing, being an artist with a license makes a difference than not having a license. And I think a lot of that sort of knowledge, I wouldn't have known it unless I would start to consult someone who understand the who understand the law, who understand how things are applied in the country, what's possible, what is not possible. I think also one of the few things I think that I've faced is, I would say sometimes you would like to understand what's going to happen to your work after the project, or where will you even store the project. You know, I love to create large art installations. If you go back to my work, I don't know why, but I love to work with scale. I enjoy doing things on like a, you know, I like space to fill it with art and like build art, I would say. So even building art, storing my work was quite an issue. And I ended up having a lot of my work transported back home, a lot of complaints that happened when I was at home. So now it's easy for me to put in my contract and say, I need a storage, I need this to be even covered. The more aware I started understanding on what are my rights, the more I would say the process of having any art project became smoother. It became even like when you know what you're talking about, people respect you more. They know that you're someone who is serious. They know, you know, your medium or your career that you're trying to expand. And finally, I think, I would really encourage everyone to try and reach out, whether to, you know, like, I honestly, I even consult someone like my very good friend, which is the artist Mohammed Kadhim, which is, you know, from the first generation of artists. I asked Mohammed, and, you know, Mohammed Kadhim as an artist, as a very established artist in the UAE, he can say and give me that confidence and give me that push. He would say, go ahead, you need to tell them that. Or if the gallery tells you this, you should actually respond with that. And I think that's very important, having that community that we can empower each other. And I think I am done with my part. I would give the mic to my friend Moza.
Hello everyone. Assalamu alaikum jami'an. وياكم موزة الزعابي. I'm an artist and entrepreneur. Some call me Moza Clicks, you know. Photographers tend to take too many pictures. So that's why it's from Moza Clicks. Photographers, you know what I'm talking about. So today, I will tell you a story. I'm not going to tell you any information. I'm going to tell you a story that have shifted my legal awareness. So, you know, I graduated from the law college. I was an excellence of honor, a girl that loved law, a student. I thought I'm gonna be the legal hero. And the story is, I started going into the creative industry. I started as a freelancing. And you know, anyone who is entering into the creative industry, you are so full of power. You are so excited to take any kind of clients. Oh, can you take just a photo shoot for me? Yes, I will do it. Okay, it's unpaid? Okay, I will do it. If there is any down payments, it's fine. I'm gonna come up and pick my camera and go right to you. So it was like a whole journey, but the story that made me shift that legal awareness is that one day, some of my friends' friends has told me, oh, there is this lady that I have known who wants to work with you in a project. And I was like, oh, of course. If it's from your side, I will definitely do it. I was so shy, to be honest. You know, Arabs like, oh, we will do it and it's from our side. I did not do any like written agreement. And it was a whole project where they needed a photo shoot, they needed models, they needed a team. And I went right to that location with my team, with everything. We did the photo shoot. The client was so satisfied. I told her if there's like any instructions that you want me to deliver or something. And she was, no, you can be creative as you want. And I was very happy. I thought, wow, this is the best client that I would ever have. After finishing that photo shoot, I was so happy. She told me, Moza, can you deliver this work after the day of the photo shoot? I told her, okay, well, the policy says like 48 hours. And I told her it's okay, I will do my best. I delivered the work, and guess what? That lady said, the photos that you have delivered, it's not the ones that I have imagined, and I don't want that photos, and please return the money back. To me, it was a huge surprise. I was like, excuse me, what are you talking about? What about my efforts? What about my team? What about the days I stayed with my team just doing the montage and the editing? And then I tried to be calm. I was like, okay, what do you want me to do then? She said, I suggested like doing another photo shoot. And she was like, no, please, I want my money back. I wanted to calm and then reply to her. I slept that day in a very calm, thinking that everything has been resolved. And the next day, I got a call saying, hi, Moza. There's that lady who's saying you are not returning to her WhatsApp messages. I was like, who's that lady? Is this a prank? Is this a prank from one of my friends? And that lady actually have filed a report on me just because I'm not returning to her WhatsApp messages. And I was so surprised. And that hit me so hard because anyone who have this legal awareness or legal background should be very aware of the importance of contracts. But to me, it was like a whole surprise. I said, it's okay. I want it, like, if she's doing it in the legal way, I will do it in the legal way too. I sat on my laptop to start doing a memo or something like that. And then I realized that from this situation, I have paid the lesson that I'm learning from this situation. At that moment, I said, I will never do any kind of project for any person, even if it's my friend. Don't tell me to do any kind of photo shoots or a business without having any like contract, a written contract. And when I'm talking about contract, I'm not talking about the online templates. I know that many freelancers or anyone who's here with me will think that online templates, it's okay and it's good. Personally, I don't think so. Why? Because it's not according to your project, and it may not be enforceable in the country. So having an enforceable contract and having this legal support from a legal expert, it will help you so much. So at that moment, I thought there should be a legal contract. I should have a legal support. And I need, when I'm doing anything with another person, to define what is the work that I'm going to do for that person. I don't like open the space for the door for you to tell me, do 100 kind of photos and do a video and etc. No, it doesn't work that way, because it will lead you to doing lots of free work. You will have delayed payments, and that will affect you in a very not good way, let's say. So what I realized is that I know most of you think that legal experts are expensive, but let me tell you that not having a lawyer is really most expensive. You don't want to waste your time like dealing with lots of clients or going into conflicts and etc. And not that only, having this legal awareness and this situation that enabled me to collect the legal awareness on made me an entrepreneur in the legal field, in the creative fields. I'm dealing with different kinds of creatives. I'm trying to also aware them about this aspect. And I think this is it. So I hope that everyone who's here have understood what is the value of the legal awareness. Because please let me tell you, if you have this dream, if you have this vision of going international and having your art all over the world, you need to take these. It's simple. It's really simple. I think May is here. There's lots of law firms that you can go to. A small step, but it will make you a whole different another person. You can see my partner is here. She's supporting me. We have different kind of companies. So I hope the best for you. And if you have any questions, you can ask me after the session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ma. Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Moza, for sharing the experience, which shows the importance of having awareness of the legal laws and the legal system here in UAE. So thank you very much for sharing the experience. My name is Muhammad Abdul Monem. I am a senior legal consultant at Mahab Hindi law firm, and I have been working with individuals, corporate, and government entities for the last 10 years in GCC and UAE. And in the few minutes, and I'll try to keep it short, despite that it's hard for the lawyers to keep things short, I'll try to summarize some legal points which might be interesting for the artists and creators or the innovators in UAE. Basically, UAE understood from the beginning the importance of protecting the artist rights. Therefore, UAE in 2004 has entered into and became a member of Berne Convention. And subsequent to it, UAE has adapted too many laws and regulations protecting artists' rights. But some of the artists asking us what exactly the arts which are subject to the protection. And it's very hard to say it in one say, because the artist work are varies, and most of the artist work are covered by UAE laws and protected. However, among them, you can say that photography, as Moza is doing, architectural, audio, visual, and even softwares and computer application, all of which are covered and protected by law. And we receive too many inquiries about the conditions or the requirements for the artists to claim for their rights, and whether it's a conditional to register their artwork with the Ministry of Economy, or not? And the answer is very simple, and it's very clear by laws that you can claim your rights over your artistic work if any third party tried to breach or infringe it without registering it. However, I do believe that I encourage all the artists to register their rights with the Ministry of Economy in order to ease the authentication and the authorship of their artistic rights. This is very important and ease the protection of your rights. And the artist rights over their work are various. However, there are two rights. One of them, which is the moral rights, and the other one is the financial rights. The moral rights for the artist of their works, they have indefinite moral rights, which is not restricted by certain time of period, nor a geographical area. And the moral right is simply that the claim of the authorship of the rights and object any defamation, amendments, modification to the artist's work without their consent or written permission. This right shall not be under any circumstances be prejudiced or be violated. And we met some of the contracts that it's very weird that the artist waived their moral rights over the artistic work. And then after 10 years, when the work became popular and unknown, then he claimed the authorship of it. And we assured them that no moral right could be waived, and any condition of the contract due or stating so shall be null and void. The second right, which are the financial rights. The financial rights of the artistic work might last 50 years after the death of the artist, and God give you long living, inshallah, all, and are various. For example, it could be the financial rights over the distribution, for reprinting, publication, and so many other financial rights. And the financial rights, it's different than the moral right, which might be the successor or the heirs of the artist might get benefited of the financial rights. So the minimum time to protect the financial rights might be varies, as I said. It might be from 20 years of the publication of the artist rights, or up to 50 years, or in some conditions it might be increased subject to the agreement of the artist with the financial owners or with the heirs. And in the next few moments, I would like to discuss some concern or legal points which we receive from the artist frequently, especially as a photographer, which might make some issues and receiving a lot of concerns. For those are not familiar with UAE laws, UAE laws are very restrictive in respect of respecting the privacy of the individuals. As well, it's protecting the customs and Sharia principles. So for any artist who's starting to initiate with the artistic work or the project, it would be better to consult a lawyer. Definitely, I would advise you to do so. But seriously, it's very important in order to avoid any legal implication on the project. As well as there are certain other restrictions. For example, there are the the restrictions concerning the nudity or statutes which are improper for the public audience. In UAE, there are certain legislations and laws which protecting the respect and dignity of the publics and should be preserved and concerned by the artist before publishing or producing their artwork. As well, the expressing of opinion. Here, alhamdulillah, it's UAE have wide freedom of expressing of opinion. However, it might be restricted in order to defame or disgrace any individual or private entity or even public entity. These things are very important to be in mind before producing your artwork. And we receive a lot of contractual concerns or inquiries. And I don't know, Moza, why you haven't consulted before, but we will see. We will see this after the panel. However, if you're gonna to sign a contract motivated by your courage without the knowledge of the legal system and laws here, I would insist to revise the following provisions, which are the ownership, the exclusivity, and obviously the payment terms. The payment terms, I don't think that anyone would enter into a contract without revising the payment terms and payment schedule. However, you have to look for the provision very carefully, because some commas might make different meanings when they provisioning in the contract. This is very important thing. As well, the period of the completion of the work is very important. You have to look forward to it and negotiate strong if you see that the progress or the time given to you to complete the project is insufficient. You have to put in your mind any force majeure would happen to the site you are working for, or any other payment suspended due to a force majeure. And last provision, which might be included in any contract, is the jurisdiction. A lot of artists sign a contract without reading carefully the jurisdiction clause. And some of the artist contracts are related to very minimal fees. Despite that, the client or the gallery or the commissioner insisting to insert arbitration clause. And as arbitration clause is, or arbitration in general, it's a very useful method to resolve a dispute, but for high value contracts. In such artistic work, it's not very high value, and the litigation process, or sorry, for arbitration process, might be improper for the artist. Therefore, they have to look into for it and look what exactly the applicable laws and governs the contract. Last tip, negotiate. If you are entering into a contract, the other party will never sit with you without being keen and interesting for your artist work. Your artwork is valuable. Therefore, you have to respect it and negotiate with each term of the contract if you think it's not suitable for you.